Okay. All right. We have a couple of interesting topics for today. Welcome everybody to the community meeting. The first community meeting for this month, and Ubuntu Noble stem cell validation. We have finally a green validation pipeline after the guard and run system cell release is ready, and the parent tissue is closed, all the child tissue were solved, and we will continue to run the pipeline in order to monitor for some potential issues in the future. And now the questions are, what would be the next steps from our side? We already discussed with Oliver that Bosch colleagues are going to cut a GA version of the Nobel stem cell, if I'm not wrong. Oliver, do you have some information from the?
Yeah, you are right. So the last mandatory step was the CF validation. Currently the Bosch stem cell is in beta phase. And now with the CF validation, we inform the Bosch colleagues and the community working group there. And now that they equip it up, and the next step is to make then the stem cell GA on Bosch IO. And if this then finally is done, then the next step is that we can provide an opt-in and ops file where then the noble stem cell can be used productively. Now, currently we have an experimental ops file, but then we can switch to a productive one. These are the next steps toward that, and then we wait a while now to retrieve feedback within the community. Maybe there are other companies or outside that want to test and run then their Bosch deployments on the noble stem cell. These are the next steps.
And what is the idea actually, Oliver, to promote our operations file to productive one, but still not switch to default Nobel stem cell?
Exactly. Also the default would not be changing for the next couple of time. Also the idea is that we switch the default to noble stem cell 1 year before end of life for Chemi. Also we want to come as quickly as possible to have an operations file that the noble stem cell can be used productively. This should come in the next couple of weeks. And then we wait for a longer time. Maybe we collect also some feedback now from the outside if everything is okay. And then somehow 1 year it was discussed before end of life of Chemi. Then we will switch to default in our deployment. This is the plan. I think this was similarly done for the previous change now of the previous stem cell, Jochen and Stephan. I think you did it already not the last time.
Yeah, that was basically the process. I just saw Raymond and Behan responding. So Raymond said release pipeline was stuck and they can now bump the version to 1.x. So well, fine.
Do we want to keep the validation pipeline separate, or would we switch experimental to be Noble at that point?
That's actually a good question. Also, what we have to do is that we are compatible for a longer time for the Chemi and Noble. But you're talking about mainly the existing validation pipelines, no?
So experimental is on AWS, and yes, we could simply switch that to Noble. And then
I mean, maybe we want to wait until this is more stable. It looks like it failed recently. Maybe a flake, maybe something that needs to be looked at. But since experimental gates CF deployment releases, we'd want to be very sure that this was going to be stable before we switched over.
Also, the idea was first now if they are GA and we provide then productive ops file that we make, then let's say for the new CF releases, the additional validation pipeline mandatory so that it must pass or be green for the new CF deployments or updates. No? I think this is the first step that we should do, keep it still separately, no? And then Jochen, we can talk about, or Dave, that we maybe then also switch them for the experimental pipeline, run them with Noble and maybe then disable or delete in this extra pipeline that we have now. Does this make sense or yeah?
Yes, yes. I mean, yeah, sure. Then let's wait a bit until everything is really stable, and then we can switch over. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, and how about the validation with the hardened stem cell? Do we need to take some action about that, or it is too early to talk about?
Yeah, this hardening is done sub-internally then afterwards
of
the stem cell. Also there is maybe for information. Also SAP or the Bosch team from SAP is doing a hardening afterwards of the stem cell. No? But this is then the sub-internal part. We have different kind of stakeholders with different kind of hardening requirements. And then there is an additional hardening done. What is the SAP inside stuff?
Okay.
Are you also doing some hardening on your side, Dave, on Broadcom, or do you know this? Yeah.
When we have the FIPS work, I'm assuming there will be FIPS work for Noble, but other than that, I don't think so.
Inside SAP, it's a little bit different. So we have different kind of hardening requirements. Not sure if we have in the future different kind of hardened stem cells. No? There's an ongoing discussion inside SAP. Hopefully not too much.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, good.
All right. Yeah, back to Milena, maybe if we don't have anything in addition related to Nobel stem cell.
Nope.
Not
Awesome.
Milena, if you are ready, you can share. I will stop sharing.
Okay, I will start to share.
Yeah, it's a bit.
It's on the bottom. You have to
it's on the
move the mouse to the bottom, and then the bottom
No,
line
I
appears.
just need to because it's it has like additional because I just installed Zoom because before
you need
the meeting
permissions.
and
Yeah.
and I need permissions. Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So I need to quit and reopen later. So yes.
If you need still a little bit time, I can talk maybe. Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's very sorry for the inconvenience. This was stupid of my side. So yeah, maybe I will briefly introduce you what we were actually doing in the latest 2 weeks. So this is regarding to our latest work regarding validation of IPv6 support in Cloud Foundry. So in the CF deployment team, we were assigned with the task to provide new CATS test, which main purpose is to test the IPv6 egress calls using different build packs. For till now, it's Java and Python, but we are working in the for the other build packs that are relevant to our ecosystem. So more about our testing approach. We needed to define a new test group for the IPv6 tests. In our case, we coded IPv6, and I will show it later how it looks in the code. So within the test group, there is an app which is using the Ginkgo framework, and its main purpose is to validate the output generated by all of the apps that are included in the IPv6 scenarios. Do you see the presentation actually?
No, are you sharing?
No.
You're not. Oh,
we,
sorry.
We see you in full screen.
Just a second, because I was preparing a presentation and because I don't see.
It's below at the bottom. If you move the mouse to the bottom, then a line is appearing, and there you can share your screen in Zoom
with a green button.
It's a green
Oh,
button.
I didn't press share.
Okay. There we go.
Now we can see it. Yeah, perfect.
Hello. So you now see the presentation full screen?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see what I've been. So yeah, I was saying that we use the Ginkgo framework, and its main purpose is to validate actually the output generated by all of the apps that are including in the IPv6 scenario. So in the acceptance test, we have already added apps, which is simply running hello world when are pushed. But as we discussed within the team and with the people from the working group, in this case, it's better to use the existing apps instead of creating new ones, because this will slow down the text execution. So to achieve this, I simply added new endpoints, which when reached, we will execute egress calls to the public available sites. Our approach is designed in such way that should be universal, ensuring that the test logic will work for IPv6, IPv4, and dual stack scenarios. Each app define distinct endpoint. This will enable the testing of IPv6, IPv4, and dual stack. So our apps interact with APIs to get the public addresses of the client. And by this way, we are checking the network support. If the client isn't set up for a certain protocol, like IPv6, for example, the test will simply fail. And we set up a server that listens for the requests and uses the basic logic to decide which test is actually being put to the test. I mean, which protocol. To check what type of IP address is returned, our app uses different libraries. For Node is one type of library, for Python is another, but these libraries help us to differentiate what type of protocol we are facing with, whether it's IPv4 or IPv6. So after we defined it, the results are shown, and whether it is successful or failing, of offering a simple message to the web console and in the terminal. So this was regarding to the overview, and now I will just show you how this looks in the code. But maybe before that, just simply because I run the application locally, if this was not so understandable, this is the default path. I started the application here locally. So when I hit this local path without any endpoints, without any predefined paths, we receive hello Python world. But if, for example, we try to with IPv6 test, now this would be successful because I'm in the office. So it says this is the validation message, which is generic for the failing and the success scenarios. I mean, if it fails, it will return something relate. I mean, this message will be a failure, and we will have error message. When it comes to, let's say, IPv4, this will be scenarios. As the scenario, it will recognize that this is the IPv4 that is tested, and the IPv4 validation resulted in success. So now I can show the app. Just a second.
Milena, do we get the IPv6 address back when we call the external IP address in the response payload?
No, the actual IP we don't see it, just for security issues. I mean, it is not. It should not be outputted in the console and in the web browser, but we have a function in our Python application which verifies what type of IP we are dealing with. Just if this is a better approach, I can't output the IP itself, but I just assume that it will be better just to show that the validation is successful and check against the successful and the failure message instead of just revealing the IP, because this is like I think it's a sensitive information. So this is, I will show just the Python implementation because it is more easy for me to talk regarding to the Python code. So as you see within the code, we define distinct endpoints. These are for IPv4, IPv6, and dual stack to test the different IP configuration. Each endpoint corresponds to a specific test case. So when we hit this endpoint, what the system will do, it will try to breach, for example, this site. And what this site will return to us, it will return only the plain IP in the string format. So if we try with this one, we will receive just the same IP, but in the IPv6 format. So how this endpoints, and I use endpoint mapper because it is, let's say, better structure to say, I mean, when looking at the code to decide how every endpoint is used. So how this endpoint mapper is used within the code, we start the threaded server in the same way it is started in the default app. However, we extend this handler function, and within this handler function we have two scenarios based on whether we have like additional path when trying to reach the site, or we just going with the default one. So this one will give us the hello Python world, but this one will trigger the handle test function. And what the handle test function is doing, it is obtaining the endpoint used, and after that it initiates this IPv6 tester class. What this class is actually doing, it has two main functions which are triggered here. So this is the function which is triggered here in the handler tester test single address. When this function is triggered, it is basically yelling two more function. this is the main function which will return the result, and this is for printing and logging. So I will just put my attention to this because this is only for what we will see in the console. This test endpoint function is actually doing the HTTP request, the GET request, and this will do HTTP request to the endpoint defined here. So for example, if we have this scenario IPv4 test, it will make HTTP request to this site, and based on the result, whether it's successful or it is failing, it will return the result. So as I already said, and this is a determine IP part, IP type. Here in the static method, we used IP address library, which is very useful because it has a good way to return us the plain text regarding to whether this is an IPv4 or IPv6 version. So after this return IPv4 or IPv6, this will be saved here as a result. And this result is used in this validation message, which, as you see, is generic one because it takes the validation name, it takes the success or failure, the IP type, which is detected by the result we are seeing, and the error message if for some reason the test is unsuccessful. So this is basically, I mean, if it is understandable what this the app itself is doing. And maybe I can go now to the Go part, I mean the Ginkgo part, and how this test is executed. So in the Go code, I use again this endpoint mapper just for consistency. So how this the app is used for testing. So this says that this IPv describe container is saying that this is for IP connectivity tests, and this just handles the name of the app, and this after each statement deletes the app after execution of every app. So I have this function here, which will push every build pack regarding to whatever it is tested. And this function will be later used in order to test every build pack. And right now in my local machine, on my local machine, I have implementation for Node, Python, Go, and almost ready for with the Java implementation. But in the code that I published to the PR, I have only Python and Node. So this describe IPv test function will push the app, and regarding to the function will go through all of the endpoints in the validation mapper, and we will test every scenario. So if any of the scenarios fails, it will mark the tests as the concrete test as failing. So for example, I'm not sure, but I was testing the Java build pack. Maybe I can show the output of it. Just a second. No. So yeah, it will look exactly like this. So for now, Java is failing because I need to address some issues regarding to this. But all of the other apps are successful, and they're successful because I disabled concrete IPv6 path because in our environment that I use Andromeda environment, we don't have IPv6 support. But if maybe now I can enable it back again, and we will then see that the tests regarding to IPv6 will fail because we don't support this. And that's how we actually tested it. So I will not delve into Node.js and the other implementation because our logic is very similar, and we use the same validation messages just for consistency. And the only different thing is the IP libraries that we use for verifying the IP addresses. So this will be the main structure of the apps and the test part. I mean, I try to make it as consistent as possible. But yeah, maybe this is what I can tell you about this our validation proposal, and I'm open for any questions.
Milena, one question. We actually test 3 endpoints. One is IPv4 only, the other IPv6 only, and you had a third endpoint, the dual stack one.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call in the dual stack one when you call the external?
When maybe we can
endpoint, and what get you returned from this endpoint?
Well, depending on the IP, it is returned because I mean how this is working. This is reaching. I mean, this will return us one of the two IPs depending which protocol is used. I mean, if it is okay, I can try this locally. So yeah, this will return the IPv6 address for me. But at some point it may return IPv6. So I have validation. I mean, this is for this reason I needed to just a second to decide whether I mean after I received the IP address to test whether this is IPv6 or IPv4, and this is in this part. So it took the output from what we took from the console and decides whether this is IPv6 or IPv4. And this will, if I try to this local, because I have it in here, triggered close stack test. So yeah, it detects the IPv6 address.
Mm-hmm. So then the test for that would pass if as long as it's successful, that test would pass.
Yeah, this is the output of, because at this point we decided to use public test addresses to validate the dual stack scenario, but we still have the IPv6 test scenario. I mean, and for sure, the IPv6 will fail if we don't support IPv6.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can switch networks to show you the failure result, but I'm not sure what will happen to the Zoom call. So
that's okay. Interesting.
if you have any suggestion about better implementation or additional feedback, it will be very helpful for me.
Is the code for this currently on a branch of the acceptance test, or is this still private at the moment?
It is still on, or I mean, it's actually even draft because I wanted just
okay, perfect. It is there. Okay, so I can take a look at that and see if I have any thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Dave, we prepared here the CATS tests already. Now still we waiting for the Bosch bootloader enhancement for the dual stack. No, this is then where we have to recreate the bubble environment because there's network things like the IPv6 egress gateway only thing and other stuff. And IPv6 CIDR blocks and many other things that must be changed. And when then this is ready, as long the Bosch colleagues itself has to complete some implementation for IPv6. But hopefully they are ready in the next couple of weeks, and then they are ready. We can recreate this bubble environment as dual stack environment, and then it becomes interesting when we run the cuts test that we implement here. Now, if it runs end to end, or if there are still in certain components issues, then we will see it. But it's completely separated from the existing environments so that we don't harm any productive, let's say, shipments.
And we are just extending the application, not creating new ones. Where I can share, I mean, the draft PR to be reviewed.
I was thinking the
So is the PR now ready for review, or are you
Yeah,
still...
it is ready for review, but
okay, then remove the draft so that
okay.
we know it's ready, and then you can also add the app runtime deployment reviewers and approvers to this, and yeah, then it's from a fork. Yeah, okay, then we will have a closer look, and
yeah, it's forked.
Yeah, but yeah, looks good, but yeah, the whole topic will be delayed by some weeks because we wait for the Bosch director implementation. So yeah.
Well, it is better to have it done and ready at whenever the other part is ready.
We are ready as we can be. Yes, so Cloud Controller is also ready. And Bosch Bootloader is making good progress. I'm really curious to try that one when it's done to see the actual changes in the AWS infrastructure. But yeah, then we have to wait for Bosch.
Okay.
Yeah, and by the way, do we have any news from the colleagues? So does it make sense to invite them here just to for some?
So yeah, I don't have
just
any
as an idea.
news. Well, we could join the foundational infrastructure working group meeting again and just ask for progress. That would be an idea. It's every Thursday, so it's a bit more often than ours. That would be something, yeah, if we ask for progress. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Milena, for the presentation.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you, and sorry for the Zoom issues.
Not a problem.
No problem.
No worries.
Happens to all of us.
All right.
So share again from my side. We still have one more topic to discuss. Just a second.
Are you sharing something, Dimitar, or still?
No, I lost my document.
I think the last one was the key length of certificates. I can say something to that. So on SAP side, there are some security requirements that the key length of certificates should be enhanced. Also for the normal client certificates, they should be enhanced to 3K, and for CA certificates, they should be 4K. And the CredHub team is already working on that, or have already an implementation in place. And currently on the SAP side, we normally rotate the certificates regularly. And the easiest thing to enhance the key length without having any downtime or outages and things like that is because the rotation mechanism is already in place, that the key length could be then changed along with the rotation. And this is something that is now done to enhance the private key length. And there is nothing to be done from the consumer side. This will be automatically switched. And another point that is a little bit open is when you create a certificate from scratch or initially, then it's still created with a key length of 2K. And there I think we may have something to do. As one options could be that we provide here an ops file who will also then for the certificates that we configure the certificates that we have, that the key length is also initially created with 3 or 4K length. Now, this is something that is currently discussed internally. But also open, or if you, Dave, maybe not sure if you also have some ideas or some opinions on that. Or if even from Broadcom is also some discussions ongoing for security. They are coming all the time, increasing the security, and currently it's on our side that the key length should be,
I haven't heard anything recently specifically about key size. I guess my question here would be, are you looking to change the defaults in CF deployment, or just add an ops file that allows people to have keys of longer length? Or
I think the ops file would be the most flexible one. If we change the default, not sure. As of now, I cannot oversee the impact.
Right.
I think this would
Chances
be a bigger change and might be risky to do this.
Right.
I think if we go in that direction, something we have to provide maybe an ops file that can then be taken by the others, if they want to have this or not.
Makes sense.
Yeah, problem is that we don't know which CredHub releases people use out there. Only the recent version supports the flexible key lengths. If you have an older CredHub, then this is just ignored, and we're stuck with 2K key lengths. So yeah, when we have.
So at that point, it's really tied to the version of the Bosch director that they've deployed with, because it's that CredHub that
it's tied to Bosch deployment, and that one is defined in Bosch bootloader. And if you use the recent Bosch bootloader version, then you have a CredHub that supports flexible key lengths, but we don't know what people use there to set up their the infrastructure. Yeah, they set up Bosch and CredHub with other means, then no idea. So yeah, question is, we could now offer an ops file in CF deployment. Would be a bit lengthy because we have to list all certificates and also to maintain that.
Right. Yeah, I wonder whether there would be much benefit in doing that, and whether the cost of, like you said, maintaining it would mean that there's little value in doing that public, for the public version.
Yeah, or we keep it SAP internal and then
right.
That's the other option. Yeah,
our business. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think until someone else asks for it, that feels like a better solution all around, because that gives you the flexibility to do what you need to do without worrying about whether you're affecting anybody else.
Oh, wait. In CF deployment, in the CF deployment Slack channel, we have not discussed this at all, right, Oliver? No, we have not. Maybe if possible, you could, or any one of you could explain this in CF deployment channel and ask for some feedback. And then let's see if anyone reacts.
To initiate the discussion.
Yes,
that's actually a good idea. No? So it's already an initial discussion, brainstorm a little bit now. No? What are the options for the community, or if we just do it internally? Yeah, we can start the discussion. That's a good idea in the Slack channel. Okay, good. That's it from our side. Yeah.
Okay, I have one piece of news. Carson Long is leaving Broadcom. His last day will be tomorrow.
Oh.
So I very much doubt that he will be joining future working group meetings, sadly.
Yeah, I already heard the rumors at lunchtime today. Really sad that he's leaving, because he contributed really a lot, carefully maintained the acceptance tests. Yeah, it's sad that he couldn't join today, so that we can't say goodbye. Yeah.
So I don't know whether there are plans to give me some backup on the Broadcom side and have a second person join the working group. I'll follow that up and see what happens. But
okay,
for the foreseeable future, you're stuck with me, I'm afraid.
It's good to have you.
That is perfectly fine. Yeah, just keep us informed if there are any new opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
From our side, many new colleagues are joining. They have applied for reviewer and approver roles. Yeah, hope in the future we'll have.
Nice.
One of them
They
is
will
me.
join us.
Yeah,
Milena is one of them.
Yeah, we're ramping up a few new approvers also in other areas, in the build packs team and for the CF Java clients, and yeah.
Okay, anything else to discuss?
Nothing on our side.
No.
All right,
nope,
colleagues.
that's all.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining the meeting, and see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thanks
See
everyone.
you.
See you.
Bye
Bye-bye.
Bye.